co-host.
Sounds good. Let's see. Done. All right. Well, I apologize. I like to be early for you guys, and got on like 10, 12 minutes early and had music going in the background, the whole 9 yards. Good to see everybody, and really, really. Were you guys having trouble hearing me?
Nope, you're good to go now.
Good. That was weird. I was talking away to Miles, and then somehow I got muted. All right, well, let's start that over then. So I'm excited to be coming to you guys tonight. I'm actually just sitting on the back porch, got a little propane heater going, and just doing a little kind of a fireside thing with you guys, which I love doing a little bit more nonchalant. I got my coffee going, my little prissy French press stuff out in the cold. And yeah, this is my very first ever training to host for Think Energy, which is pretty cool. I've done thousands of these over the years in network marketing, but never for Think. So a little bit of a different feel because you guys don't know my story, don't know much about me. So I'll kind of start there. And I'm actually hoping you guys will pay very, very close attention to the story because that's actually going to be our topic. I'm going to try to do something a little bit different today. I'm not going to get into rates. I'm not going to get into what products we've launched and different things that we've got as Think Energy advisors. I'm going to teach you guys how to really sell it. And so let me start with the story. And again, I'm going to, I guess, title this how to use your story for your benefit. Mr. Salji, I love seeing you upside down, sir. That's a new look. Looking good there, my brother. So if y'all don't know, I've been working with Mr. Stallard and Mr. Salji, David Daniels, a few of you guys that are on the call that Stan the Man, Cesar Solis, Erica. I've known a lot of you guys for a lot of years. But I've been in the industry network marketing now for 14, 15 years. I guess I'm going into my 14th year. And it was absolutely incredible journey of lots of ups and downs, way more ups than downs once the ball got rolling. And I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit and tell you the story, and then I'm going to teach you how to tie that into what we're doing here as, I hate the term salespeople, but we're salespeople. If you haven't gotten used to that term yet, maybe sales sounds dirty to you, you just don't enjoy the term. Trust me, we are all salesmen, regardless if we're selling a product or a service. You're selling. If you're married, you're a salesperson. You sold yourself to your spouse or significant other. Everything in life is really relationship built, isn't it? Can we agree on that? If you're not nodding, you should be. It really is. If it's worthwhile, you should have people around you to enjoy it. And in order to get people to follow you on that journey, you've obviously got to be able to connect with people. So I connect through story. And I'm going to get into that real quick. So I grew up with a pretty humble background. I grew up actually in West Texas. And those of you out in Lubbock, and when the wind blows, we always said Lubbock or Odessa, Midland area blew in. So I grew up in Abilene, and it's all one big desert out there. So mom and dad had great college degrees, master's degrees, 4.0s, fantastic jobs. And I tried to follow in their footsteps and go on to college at Abilene Christian. And a year and a half in, I realized I was going to go so far in debt that with the way I was heading, it wasn't going to be beneficial to me. So I opted to take a semester off, and that semester off was now almost 20 years ago, and I'm still on that semester off today. What happens when you leave college? You finally start paying bills. I'd never paid a bill. I was an athlete, so mom and dad did their best to take care of those bills while I was trying to be an athlete. And all of a sudden, all those bills start racking up. So I just kind of had to take a job until something better came along. And what happens to us? Something better comes along, and you just keep waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And before you know it, life has kind of passed you by. Well, I spent 20 years in the workforce working 80 to 100 hours a week. And long story short, I just got tired of life passing me by. I was watching my friends and family members attending the weddings and the funerals and the parties and the get-togethers, and I was just missing life. I never took vacation because it wasn't worth it. When you came back from vacation, you had so much work to make up for the week off. It wasn't really worthwhile. So I just continued to put my head down and go to work. And what do they tell you? The harder you work, the further you're going to get ahead. And for me, I realized 20 years down the road, I wasn't getting ahead. So I actually opened up my own construction company in Bozeman, Montana, where they're filming Yellowstone now. That was back in like 2008 when I did this, long before that. And I really did walk into a gold mine. The problem is I didn't have a license or insurance to open a business in Montana. So I partnered up with the wrong guy. I partnered up with a gentleman that grew up a couple of houses away. I went to second grade with his wife. I helped raise his kids. And 2 months down the track, I had over $2 million in contracts, which was crazy to me. That was way beyond what my goals and expectations were. But we had about an 80% profit margin and estimated profit margin, I guess. And on the 2-month anniversary, he called me up, the gentleman I partnered with, and said, look, man, this is crazy. I never saw this going this well. I'm super, super impressed with what you've been able to accomplish. The wife and kids and I are so impressed. We're actually loading up the car and we are headed to Montana. They were in Oklahoma at the time. And I said, great. With your help, this thing is going to go absolutely nuts. You know more about this industry than I do. The two of us together, we're going to really take this thing next level. And he said, well, brother, that's why I wanted to call you. I want you to know I love you. But I got a wife and kids to feed. I don't know if you're aware of it, but the company's in my name. You're out. And in about a 3-minute phone call, I had over $100,000 in repossessions. I managed to lose my mom and dad's retirement. 8 of my best friends had all relocated from Texas up to Montana with their wives and kids, uprooted them out of schools and jobs, and wound up losing everything, never seen a paycheck. And I went more than a year and a half with attorneys telling me, don't get a job because he's going to sue you for that as well. So just sit around and hope it doesn't get any worse. And I don't say any of this for you guys to feel sorry for me. I let you guys in on this for a multitude of reasons, but the number one reason is just to tell you that was honestly the best thing that ever happened to me in hindsight. I came across a quote, and oddly enough, it's a J.K. Rowling quote. I'm not some huge Harry Potter person, but at the end of the day, that quote hit me at a really good time. It said, rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. And I was as rock bottom as I've been. And if I got into all those details, you would be hard pressed to not tear up with me. But when you lose your mom and dad's retirement, it's definitely already a low point, right? And what it did for me was it sent me into this desperation mode. I knew right then and there that going to work without a college degree on a salary for somebody else was never going to help me make enough money to recoup mom and dad's retirement, much less still give me the quality of life that I wanted, but more importantly, to help them out and the people that partnered with me that never got ahead. And I had a friend of mine, total God thing, but basically tapped me on the shoulder my second or third week in his new training class at a job I had to take back here in Dallas. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area now. Taps me on the shoulder and says, look, man, you're the guy I've been looking for. I don't know if I told you, but I don't actually have to work. I came here to meet somebody, and I think it's you. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking to or what you're talking about. And next thing you know, he is pitching me a network marketing company. And I laughed and said, I don't do those things. And how many of you guys have ever been there before? I don't do those. Right. And so I made that comment, and he said, look, I'm just here to tell you that nobody else is knocking on your door trying to help you get your mom and dad's retirement back. I'm telling you, for under $500, and this company was $499, I believe, $599, something like that, that I'm here to help you recoup that retirement. And I went to my accountant, of all people, and said, talk me out of this. And my accountant looked at me and said, why would I do that? Nowhere in the world can you open a business for under $1,000 that's international and get all the tax perks of owning and operating a business. And Brad, with nothing personal, but with all your situation going on right now, you need all the tax perks that you can get. So I said, wait a minute, you're telling me I can write everything off? And he said, yep. Even if you lose money, if you do your taxes right and hire a good accountant that understands home-based business, you will actually still make money, even if you don't make money. So I'm like, I can't believe I'm fixing to say yes to one of those quote unquote pyramid things, but here we go. And I failed miserably for 3 years. I went to all the meetings. I did it. Not in my head. I took all the notes. I showed up at all the big international conventions. That company had 4 a year, which were not cheap. There was never one in the middle of the United States. It was always East Coast or West Coast. So you're always catching planes. You're always asking for time off of work. And it just didn't work. And then it hit me that it wasn't working. It was that I wasn't working. I was showing up. I was a good role player. I took a lot of notes. I had all the potential. But when I'd get home, I'd make this big list of what I was going to start to do, and then I would never actually start to do the list. And really, that list comprised of people's numbers, and I never was really calling enough people. On the 3-year exact anniversary of all my failures in that company, and I literally made about $600 in about 3 years. I carry my last residual check from that company to this day in my backpack for $11.87. That check did not even come monthly. It came every 3 months because until it hit $11, it didn't cover postage and they wouldn't even send you the check. 3 years of work so I could get $11.87 about every 3 months, right? And the whole time I never said this isn't working. I knew it was me that wasn't working. And oddly enough, you're allowed to claim a loss on your taxes for 3 years, right? In a business. And it was on the exact day, 3 years later, that same gentleman called me and said, look, Brad, I'm making a switch. We're going to another company. I'm not going without you. We went to that company and I put all those 3 years of training and notes and lists, and I actually started going through the numbers and actually started to do the physical work. And within a week, I'd actually recouped my entire investment. And I'm talking in my hand. I had enough money to pay for the entire investment. Next thing you know, I went into my boss, said, I'm putting in my 6-month notice. I'm firing you in 6 months. I'm going to triple my income with one of those pyramid things. And you can go ahead and laugh and get all your jokes out of the way. But I'm going crazy with this because it's hit me that I'm tired. I'm not going to be broke. I'm not going to be the guy that says I don't have the money to go do these things. I'm not going to be the guy that dies and never got to travel the world, never got to have a passport and actually put some stamps on it, which at that time I never had. And I did. 6 months later, I'd actually hit a position at triple my income, which is the formula, by the way, for those of you that want to fire your boss. Do not do what I did and go in and tell your boss you're going to fire him in 6 months. I knew the guy very, very well, and he wasn't going to let me go. So that was a little different scenario. But it was speaking into existence what was going to happen in 3 years, or 6 months later, I literally did hit a position at triple my income. I fired my boss. I've traveled all over the world and trained on some amazing stages and had just some incredible life experience. And all that leads me to here. After about the 9-year anniversary in there, I got a phone call from a gentleman I absolutely respect a ton. And he's on this line right now, Mr. Miles Stallard, and said, look, this entire time in this previous company, we worked sideline together. We got to both see each other. We both trained together, but we never actually had any kind of tie as far as income went. And we always thought, man, it'd be cool to get to work together. And so he hit me up and said, let's do this thing. Let's partner up and go to Think Energy. And here's why. And I'll be honest, I was not excited about starting another MLM. I was home. How many of you have ever felt like you've been somewhere and you just said, there's no way I'm changing. This is exactly where I want to be. Due to some circumstances that happened in that company, I was a little bit more open-minded. I'll just be honest with you guys. It was actually the founders passed away. 2 of the 3 founders were very close to us, and they passed away in a tragic plane crash, and it just wasn't really the same company. There wasn't anything wrong with it. It just didn't feel the same. And this just made way too much sense. It made way too much sense. This is the easiest build I've ever seen, and I've been involved with 2 other energy companies in the past, and the comp plans just really weren't there. That's a common occurrence in the electric space. That is not the case here. I'm a numbers guy, and this is absolutely the most brilliant comp plan I've ever seen. And I'm not just saying that, guys. This is a true residual thing. When you look up 3 or 4 years from now, if you really put your head down, you're going to go, holy cow, I cannot believe how this started so slow, but just swung to what it is now, and it's going to. You have no idea what you have your hands on. And I'm telling you, there are some absolute industry beasts that are part of this company. at a very ground floor level, you've found timing, you've found the comp plan, you've found an incredible ownership with incredible financial backing. I challenge you to try to punch holes in this thing and find the flaws, because I haven't found them yet, and I'm trained to find them. So here's what I really want to get at tonight is I want you to pay attention to what happened in my story. I told you some pain points, some things that weren't really fun or exciting for me to share. How many of you love sharing your failures? All the stuff you've done wrong, is that fun for you to share? And it's like, no, those bring up some hardcore low points in your life that are not always easy to share. Well, here's what I feel like in sales, most people's problem really is. Let me ask you a question. What do you say? What's your job here? What do you do? You're electric advisors, right? I would say wrong. If you're here to sell electricity, people are going to tell you no. If you're here to build your dreams and change your future, they're going to have a really hard time telling you no. It's a difference in going out and saying, hey, let me save you a couple bucks. How many of you guys right now have had somebody tell you no, I found a little bit lower rate? Has anybody told you no, they found a lower rate yet? Has anybody told you no, they weren't willing to pay $200 for a cancellation fee? Let me tell you how to stop them from saying that. Have them so tied to your story, they can't tell you no because they want to be a part of your journey. Matter of fact, when you can paint your story so well that they can see them grabbing your hand and saying, I want to go on this journey with you because you seem different. You seem like you're actually going somewhere. That's when you become a top recruiter, because that person is going to say, you know what? Nobody's ever said that to me. Nobody's ever talked to me like that. All these other MLMers, guys, they're talking about their product or their service. They're saying they got the best product. They're saying they got the lowest rate. They're saying they got the best of whatever that thing is. Do you realize if everybody and their dog is saying they have the best? How many of you have heard of Zoom Energy? Do you think they're telling people you should sign up with me, but think is better? No, they're saying they have the best product, even though it's not. They're still saying they're the best. How do we differentiate? Well, we get into rate. We get into this. All that stuff is still there. It's a win. When you start really doing a side-by-side comparison, you're going to find out, yes, we are better. There's no doubt about that. My thing is, why even get to that point? There's guys like Mr. Salji. This guy is so analytical, and he's going to blow you away with how he can track these numbers and spit these numbers out at you and tear down people's bills, and he's going to be right every single time. How many of you struggle to break down a bill? Or how many times have you actually sat with somebody and they didn't have their bill? They didn't know their login, and you're waiting and waiting and waiting by the phone, hoping they actually send it to you or call you with these details, when in fact, had you gotten away from the bill and the savings and just said, hey, have I told you about this new journey that I'm on? I just partnered up with a ground floor company, but let me tell you why I did. If you do the math, and I'm just talking general numbers, they say 95% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. That number could actually be a little bit less now, because there are, with the internet and these younger millennials, a lot of entrepreneurs online, but most of them are trying to be a YouTube hero or a TikToker, and just hoping to find followers doing goofy stuff. And I hope it works out for them. I really do. I don't know that that's a real plan. In this, we have a plan, right? So what I'm just going to give you a pitch, and I hope you guys follow me on this, because it's going to be a little bit different. But when I would pitch people, and to this day, hey, look, I've just partnered up with an energy company. I've got some incredible rates, some really innovative technology. We're doing some things that have never been done in the industry. Matter of fact, although powertochoose.org, I guess we've been taken down for a minute until we get some things straightened out. And it's going to be back up very soon. But we're like one of the number one companies, if not the number one company in most markets, on powertochoose.org on a regular basis. And it's just been phenomenal. I'd love to sign you up and save you a little bit of money on your bill. By the way, we have an incredible referral program, which is what I'm most excited about. If you sign up 5 people, you get 10% off, 10 people, 40% off, so forth, right? We all know these numbers. Well, as soon as they give me any hesitation, well, whatever it is, what's the rate, blah, 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 how does this change my current bill? I'm going to answer the question, but then I'm going to get in because, by the way, you're going to be blown away with how many people just say, yeah, Brad, I'll help you out. Yeah, Caesar, I'll sign up with you. Stan, why not? And they will without even getting into rates. You're going to be blown away if you just come at people and say, I'm building a new business, looking to really change my life. Let's go ahead and get you signed up. They say yes without even asking the rate. I don't need to get into it. I know I've got a great rate. I know I'm not going to save them money. I know I'm at least going to get them in a 3-year contract. And toward the end of that contract, when their current bill is running out with their other company, it's going to fluctuate to some crazy astronomical number where ours is not. And they're going to start saving money there. And if they go after referrals, they're definitely saving money. So I don't even have to feel bad about not even telling them the rate. We've got great, ridiculous rates. So let's go ahead and get you signed up. They say yes. My point is here, what if they don't say yes? This is where I differ, I feel like, from most people. I'm going to tell them why I'm doing this. How many of you know why you're doing this? And please do not say to make money. Yes, that is a byproduct. Yes, that is actually when I started network marketing, it was to make money. But remember, it wasn't to make money for me. It was to get my mom and dad's retirement back. So at this point, I would literally start telling people, and this was honestly my pitch, when they would give me any kind of, whether it was a partnership in the business, whether it was a customer as a in that company, it was a product-based company. In this company, obviously, it's electricity. But whether I get any feedback, it doesn't matter whether I'm going after a customer or a partner. I would then sit and go, all right, well, listen, I appreciate you letting me run this past you. It means the world that you would hear me out. Let me be completely honest with you. I don't know if I've actually shared my story. I managed to lose my mom and dad's retirement in a business venture and hit a really rock bottom low point. And through that, I've also worked 80 to 100 hours a week, and I had no life. And I'm fed up. I'm not going to live the rest of my life wondering what might have happened if I'd have actually gone for it. I'm going to get my mom and dad's retirement back. I'm going to get a passport, start traveling the world. I'm going to go on mission trips and do all the things that I've ever wanted to do. And that's not going to happen in a corporate world. I've found my vehicle that I'm going to make that work with. And I'm going to fight hand, tooth, and nail till I have my freedom and I can live life on my terms. And the reason that I need your help is you can either come with me and help me build this thing, or you can be a customer and start referring people as well. Either way, you're going to be helping me, but you're going to be saving some money. You're going to be part of an amazing journey, regardless of the role that you play in that journey. Would you like to really look at this thing with me? And at that point, I'm either going to talk about signing them up again, or I'm going to talk about getting them to a business presentation and coming on board as a partner. And really, guys, I'm going to tell you my approach. If 95% of people are living paycheck to paycheck, that would tell me that 95% of people are most likely not really happy with their job. Now, do people put on a happy face at their job? I did for a lot of years. Do you think it was really what I wanted to be doing? How many people do you know that actually live their dream? There are people that grew up wanting to be a doctor, they're doctors. There's people that wanted to grow up being school teachers, they're school teachers. They're living their dream. Whether that turned out the way they hoped it would or not, they're doing what they planned on doing. But I would say the vast majority of those 95% of people are like me, and most likely like you, that took a job hoping something better would come along, and they look up and 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, even 50 or 60 years have passed them by. It wasn't what they wanted to be doing. And by the way, I'm not saying any of you grew up saying, I want to be an electrical advisor for Think Energy. It wasn't even around back then, so that wouldn't have even been possible. Or I wanted to be a professional network marketer. Never in a million years did I think that. But here was where my dream came in. This right here. I love being able to impart knowledge in people, to be able to mentor people, to be able to give back some of the things that I've been taught and learned. I love to be able to travel. I love to be able to not have to punch a clock, ask a boss what I want to do. And, that never occurred to me. Nobody ever said in my corporate job, Brad, if you just stay here for a handful of years to 10 years, you're going to live the life of your dreams. Nobody ever once said that. When I started in the network marketing arena, they said, look, matter of fact, I'll give you guys an exact story. There's a book. It's an older book by a guy that's passed away now named Mark Yarnell. It's called Your First Year in Network Marketing. I never even actually read the whole book. Matter of fact, I never even made it to chapter 1, believe it or not. In the preface of the book, there was a statistic in the preface that said, basically, he's just giving a little dialogue there, and it says, if you start and stay in one company for 10 years in this industry, you'll live life beyond your wildest imaginations. And I sincerely got stuck on that line and started thinking, nobody's ever said that to me in a corporate environment, ever. I've had a lot of different jobs. I was never fired. I always succeeded, but still, no matter how far up the ladder I got, nobody ever said, you're going to live a life beyond your wildest imagination. That's not even the life of your dreams. That's a life beyond whatever you dream. How cool is that? Whatever your dreams are, imagine them even being bigger. And it's true. When you start to check off some of those bucket list things, you start to dream up more things. You're lifting the lid off of what your possibilities can really be in this life. And it was real. And I saw it. I felt it. And here's what I think people have happen. They go out and they pitch rate, or they pitch their product, and they get shot down, and they get that to happen 4 or 5 times, and they start to get beat up and let down, and thought, man, all my friends were going to say yes. I could have sworn they would. I can't believe they're telling me no. I guess this isn't working. And you have a huge turnover in this industry because people are getting beat on their rates or their product price, or their product didn't get the results they wanted on day one, or whatever it may have been. In this case, obviously, it's normally rates. However, when you figure out that you're really a dream builder, not only for yourself, but you get to be a dream builder for everybody else that'll partner up with you and listen. That comes with a certain level of responsibility. You don't get to quit. You can quit on yourself. But when people start joining you, and now their dreams are hitched to your mentorship and your work ethic, all of a sudden now you're going, wait a minute, I got to put a little more effort in, because now Caesar's looking at me going, you're going to be here to hold my hand and lock arms with me and help me when I need it, right? And then all of a sudden Sophie's calling, and all of a sudden Erica's calling, all of a sudden Stan's calling. And you realize these people are looking to you for this mentorship, and all of a sudden you get to start really diving in and taking hold and going, okay, I've got to make this work. How am I going to get to make it work? Well, we get away from rate. Again, I'm not telling you don't pitch rate. I'm telling you don't have to pitch rate. Miles called me earlier today and said, you got 17 personal customers. I'm disgusted only having 17 personal customers, because it's way beyond or less than what I should have right now. But the reality is, I don't recall breaking this thing down for one of those people. Not one. Now, did they ask the rate? Some of them did. Sure. Did all of them? Nope. Some of them just said, sure, Brad, if it helps you out, I'm in. Cool. What do you say we look at maybe partnering up as well? I just want you to realize that if you're coming at this as an electric advisor, you're going to potentially get beat up, because there's going to be cheaper rates. If they're not there right now, they may be a year or two from now. We're not going to beat every single company every time out of the gate in every single market. It's not possible. So how do we get them to join you? I challenge you to learn your own story. And it's funny how so many people don't know what their story is. And if they do, they don't know how to really put it into words or share it, because we're scared of that pain. We don't want to bring it up. I'm telling you, people are just people. Nobody's perfect, right? Everybody's had hardships. Their hardships may not be as low as somebody else's, but they were low enough for them. My low point was nowhere near as low as some of you guys on here. It was horrific for me, but it wasn't anything I couldn't get through. And once I learned that I didn't need to be ashamed of that other people had struggles, and at least I finally had the courage to get out of the box and go for it, that was something that I could be proud of. Fail or no fail, I learned. How many of you guys have heard that? There's no such thing as failure. There's either succeed or learn. Well, I learned a lot. I've learned a whole lot. Some people could call those failures, and I call them and say, look, I wouldn't be where I'm at without those things that beat me up. I started actually looking for people to tell me no. I'm going to repeat that. Was everybody paying attention? The person on this line that winds up getting the most no's is going to be the one that makes the most money, the one that changes the most lives, because you made more calls. You put yourself out there. And I literally started walking up to people, and I kid you not, hey, look, I'm about to give you a pitch, and I need you to tell me no. I'm collecting no's today. I can't go to bed until I get 10 people to tell me no. So here's what I got going. I've just partnered up with the most incredible company. It's called Think Energy. They're the new kids in town, but they are backed by one of the most powerful companies. It's worth $100 billion in the background by a guy that's won Entrepreneur of the Year on multitude of magazines. This dude is an absolute phenomenal individual. Not only is he brilliant with a Cornell degree, but he just knows how to run business. He sold his last company for God knows how many millions and millions of dollars. I think $500 million. And he started it with $1 million on a loan. Sold it for $500 million. This guy has come back into the space. He's asked me to help pioneer this Texas marketplace, and it's actually going to go all the way up into the Northeast United States. This is going to be a monster of an opportunity, and I just couldn't say no. So I'm all in. I'm rocking with this thing. What do you say? Let's partner up in this thing. And remember, I need you to tell me no. And it was almost such a switch for him. Well, wait a minute, that actually sounds really cool. I probably need to know a little bit more before I tell you no. Oh, come on, man, really? I'm never going to get to sleep tonight. Everybody keeps telling me yes. And it became like a game to me to see what I could get away with to get them to tell me no. And my pitch got better and better and better and stronger and stronger and stronger because I was trying to come up with bigger facts, bigger wow moments in this pitch to get them to potentially what's going to make them say no. Well, if everybody's telling you yes, and by the way, guys, you realize your job is not to get them to sign up and Think Energy. Our job is to expose them to the information and let them make their own decision. So if they say no to the business after they see an opportunity meeting or a Zoom presentation, whatever it is, I looked at that as a win. My job wasn't to sign them up. My job was to get them in front of the information, and it just didn't speak to them. That's no problem. So I did my job, right? I'd go, all right, another one, watch the video. Another one, logged in and looked at the rates and did their due diligence and maybe opted to not go with us at the end of the day. But that's a win because I put myself out there. I got them to where I needed them to go to make the best decision for themselves. Does that make sense? They're not telling me no. So you get less attached to the outcome. They're telling the information no at that point. My only job is to expose them. So it doesn't hurt when they tell a video no or a PowerPoint no. I got them to where they needed to be. I made sure that they were on. I built up enough credibility with the speaker or the video, whatever I was showing. Say, look, man, if this Mr. Stallard guy that's going to be doing this presentation, I'm telling you, this guy's earning millions of dollars. He's young. He's hungry. He's going places. This is a guy that I can't wait for you to meet. He knows this information forward and back. He's starting this presentation straight up at 7 p.m., but I need you right now to tell me if you're not going to be on. Because if you're not, I'm not going to put in a phone call and have him maybe throw a shout out to you or a private message to you because I'm going to let him know you're coming. There's limited seats on this thing. I want that video to be so highly edified. I want that speaker to be so highly edified. When they agree to get on there, they're getting on. And by the way, I'm going to be on to make sure that you're on, Mr. or Miss Prospect, because I want to be able to, it's not to prove you wrong or right. It's because I want to be able to call you immediately and get your feedback. Because if you're as excited about this as I am, we are going to blow the doors off this thing. Because there's a whole lot more on this. If I hadn't even got into what it is to pioneer community solar, what it is to pioneer a market like Lubbock, Texas, when they just deregulated 250,000 homes for the first time in more than however many years they've been in a co-op. There is places in the Northeast that are launching new products, new services. There's an app coming. There's a lot of things that are happening that we can really build up this excitement on, to say nobody's ever done this before. Nobody's ever done this before. We have some of those things. And when you have that, that is another avenue that you get to continue to edify and build up and to stress to that individual. And what it does, it helps you kind of nail it home and concrete them into that appointment time, whatever that is. If it's a 3-way call, if it's a video meeting, whatever that may be. Are you guys all with me here? Is this helping? Just throw something in the chat. Throw a 1 in the chat if this is helping. By the way, if you have any questions about any of this stuff, put your questions in the chat. I get on a high horse here and forget to go, or not really on a high horse. I just get on a roll and I forget to look at the chats. But the fact of the matter is, guys, you need to know where you're going with this. One thing that so many people will tell me they've got all these dreams and ambitions. I was like, really? So tell me one of your dreams. And one of the biggest dreams I hear is I just want to travel. Great. That sounds awesome. Travel is one of my favorite things. I totally relate with that. Where do you want to travel to? So many people have no idea. They don't know where they want to go. They just go, well, I don't know. I want to travel. Okay. Here's the problem. If you don't know where you're going, how can we help you get there? Can you imagine getting a map? And here's where you're starting from, and you put a little X there, and you go, I want to travel. I can't draw a line in any direction to get you to that particular point because there's no point. So what happens is, this is how we are with our dreams. Well, I want to make a lot of money. Okay, that's like, I want to travel. I don't know where I'm going. I can't give you the game plan to a lot of money. I mean, I can give you part of the game plan, but what do you need? What are you looking for? Where are we starting? And here's the problem. If they want to make a lot of money and it's a slow build, this is not a comp plan that's going to pay you $10,000 in the first month. There are comp plans out there that are very front loaded, and you'll make a lot of money in those first 30 days if you really go after it. But after that, it starts to dwindle down. Ours just steadily goes up and up and up until one point it just whoop and goes like that, straight up. It's crazy. Like, we literally talked to a guy that made $1,800 in his first year. I'm rephrasing, he made $18,000 in his first year. His second year, he made $1.8 million. That gentleman did no more work in his second year, might have even done less work in his second year. And by the way, that's a gentleman that actually is one of the Kenny brothers that works right here in Think Energy, working directly with Mr. Mike, our founder here. 18,000 to 1.8 million, and we have a better comp plan now than they had back then. So we don't need to have a 30. You can have a 30-day game plan, but it's a game plan. It's a stepping spot along the way to wherever your real goal is. So I challenge you to say, okay, where do you need to go? What's going to keep you here? So what I did initially, I set a 6-month plan. I'm going to fire my boss in 6 months. I went and looked at the comp plan sheet, said, okay, well, if the average person is making this amount of money, that is enough, most likely, to triple my income. So now I know the name of the position. I know the name of I know how much money that averages and pays out. How do I get there in 6 months? Well, in 6 months, if I'm going to be there, I need to be here in 90 days at the halfway point, right? And if I've got the halfway point, in order to get there, I know what I need to do for those first 30 days and the next 30 days and the next 30 days. So I had a 30-day game plan, which I was able to break down weekly. I was able to break down daily. And what happened is, I had this 6-month plan. Well, you can't quit in your first 30 days on a 6-month plan. It doesn't always go according to plan that first week, but the second week you can double it up and maybe make up for it, right? Maybe the third, fourth week you make up for it. And all of a sudden we started realizing, wait a minute, now I know what I need to do on a daily basis in order to stay on track toward whatever that goal is. So the first thing I sit down when somebody says I want to travel, great. Where? I don't know. Well, do you like beaches, mountains, deserts? Beach, great. Do you want it to be out of the United States where you get to use a passport? Yeah, preferably. Great. Do you prefer someplace that speaks English? You like the Latin American culture? You want the Asian culture? You want the European culture? I don't care. Just somewhere South America. Great. So let's call it Colombia. Sound good? No, actually, I would prefer Brazil. Great. Well, that's not Spanish, it's Portuguese, but it's close enough. Let's plan a trip to Brazil. When do you want to go by? I want to go in 6 months. All right, 6 months is a good goal. How much money do you think it's going to take to get you and whoever you're taking with you? If you're going by yourself, great. But if you're taking the family, and all of a sudden we were able to say, on this time, I needed to make this much money. I need to be able to get out of work or at least be able to take enough time off work. And now I know how much money I need to make that happen. By the way, do you have a passport? No. How are you going to travel to Brazil with no passport? We need to get you a passport. You would not believe how many people say, I want to travel and don't even have a passport. You're not going anywhere without a passport. Why don't you get that going? And by the way, I took a day off of work in my 6-month span where I was going to fire my boss back 10 years ago. He called me and said, you're not sick. You've never been sick a day in your life. Where are you? Well, you're right. I'm not sick. I'm actually driving to Greenville, Texas, where I was born, because they're making me get a certified copy of my birth certificate so I can go get a passport. Said, a passport? Where are you going? You have a job here. Yeah, I know. I told you I'm firing you in 6 months and you don't believe me, but I figured I'd start with Australia and then I'd go with everywhere after that. But I'm getting a passport today. And I went and filled out the paperwork for my passport long before I had ever booked the trip, earned the money, hit the goal, because I knew it was part of the goal. And there's something that magically happens when you start to punch things off that help you to get to that goal, whether it's travel, whether it's money, whether it's college fund for your kids. I don't know what it is. I mean, you want to start a college fund for your kids, but you haven't set up the trust yet. Trust take a little bit of money, but you don't have to have $1 million set up a trust. You can go do it for a few $100s in the right place and set the trust up and then just start putting money into it every month and take care of your kids forever. But this was my step in travel, was to go get the passport. Showed back up at work the next day, went back to work, reminded my boss I was going to fire him in 6 months. And by the way, in 6 months, within the first week of the time that I fired him, I was on a flight to Australia and overrode that entire continent with over 35,000 business partners and generated more than, I don't even know, it's upwards of 150 million in sales in that one market alone between Australia and New Zealand. But it was because I was speaking it into existence. I drew out the map. I knew where I wanted to go. I was able to plan it. I need you guys to have a plan. And then what you do is you tie your story to that plan. How are you going to get there? So I started walking up to people and literally saying, hey, did I tell you I'm going to Australia? No. Yeah, right after I fire my boss in 6 months. I've got a plan. I've partnered up with a new company. This is absolutely incredible. But I'm going to be able to fire my boss in 6 months when I triple my income. I'm going to get my passport in the next couple of weeks, and I'm headed to Australia. Let me tell you how I'm doing it, because you might actually want to partner with me. And what are you doing tonight at 7 o'clock? I've got a gentleman I want to introduce you to. And I'm going to pitch Casey Salgi, Miles Stowler, David Daniels, whoever that individual may be that's doing that presentation tonight. I'm getting them on that presentation. Not a presentation a week away, a presentation then and there. And if there's no presentation that night, I'm getting them to a recorded video. If I'm with them, I will watch that video with them. There's something really cool about watching a video with somebody. They're going to show up if they're with you. Are you with me? If they're sitting beside you, they're watching that video if you put it on. It's 10 minutes. Here's my deal, guys. Don't let people tell you no to the opportunity until after they watch the video. I don't care if they say no after the video. That's not my problem. I can't help what's going on in their life or their mindset right then. What I can do is get them that video. It is 10 minutes. What kind of friend would I be if I told you I'm going to live my dreams and I want to take you with me, but I don't have enough influence with you or enough grit and tenacity in my own goals and my surety of how I'm going to accomplish those goals if I can't get you to watch a 10-minute video? So here's what happens when they tell me no to watch the video. They haven't even watched it yet. I've given my story and they're still saying no. I'm like, look, bottom line is, I don't want you pissed off at me. What? Yeah, I'm getting real here. I don't want you to look at me in 6 months to a year to 5 years from now and say, man, if you just told me how big a deal this was, I would have partnered with you. I'm asking you for 10 minutes. It's not going to cost you a dime. It's going to cost you literally just 10 minutes of your time. If you don't like it, be honest and tell me. I want you to pay attention to what I just did. Give them permission to say no. It takes the monkey off your back. My job isn't to get you to say yes. My job is to let you see the information and see if there's a chance you might want to partner up. So if you watch the video and tell me no, I'm just going to say thanks. I appreciate you for taking the time to do that. It means the world that you would take that 10 minutes and actually do me that privilege to sit down with me and watch that and give me your honest feedback. But if you like what you see and we get to lock arms together, now it's not just me going to Australia. Let me tell you guys one of the coolest experiences I had. Matter of fact, it was probably the first trip I ever really got to spend a lot of time with Miles Stallard. We'd known each other. We'd seen each other at a lot of meetings. We talked quite a few times, but we were on a trip in Costa Rica. We got an all expenses paid trip to the Four Seasons Resort. We're sitting on the most incredible golf course to this day I've ever played. One of the top 5 super yachts of the world is right at the end of one of these fairways in obviously this tropical scene, monkeys and crazy stuff running around. And it was my brother, Miles, and I'm sitting out there going, this is crazy. I had this dream to travel, but what I didn't ever think about was what would it be like if I had 82 of my best friends in the world that got to go paid for on that trip with me. And that's exactly what happened. 82 of my best friends from all over the world got to meet up, business partners from Australia, New Zealand, friends that were sidelined to me like Mr. Stallard, but we all got to just hang out, all expenses for 7 days. They left $1,000 in spending cash on the bed for every one of us to just enjoy with our significant other or family, whoever we brought out. It was incredible. But when you can really start, what would happen if I hadn't shared my journey, my story? If it had all been about me and I hadn't invited anybody, number one, I wouldn't have been on the trip. Number two, they wouldn't have been on the trip. Meaning they're still working their day jobs in the same position they were. And it would all have boiled back to me, whether or not I had literally, whether I stole or didn't steal their opportunity. When you don't talk to people, I started looking at it like, if I don't give them a chance to say no, I'm stealing their opportunity. I'm stealing their dream. I already know 95% of people are working paycheck to paycheck. That includes almost everybody that I can literally reach out and call in that 95%. And if I know that's the case, why would I prejudge people? How many of you guys have been guilty of prejudging? Every single one of us, right? I know I have. They make too much money. They don't have enough money. They're already too busy. They got too much on their plate. They've got, the excuses are endless that we can call somebody on. How many of you have ever been surprised when somebody said yes? I've had some really ultra successful people say yes. I've had some of the brokest people in the world say yes. I've had people, and by the way, this is so much cheaper. $129, $139, it's crazy. It's ultra cheap to be able to start a business. This is the cheapest I've ever seen. And it's almost too cheap in my opinion, personally, because you get too many people that'll say, well, I'll throw $130 at this and see what happens. I don't need you to throw $130. I want you to treat this thing like it cost you $1 million. If you treat it like it costs you $1 million, it's going to pay you like it cost you $1 million. That's the difference. That's what happens when you begin to tie what are your dreams worth to you? What would it look like if you could close your eyes right now and imagine just being able to say yes to everything you want to do? Never having to check your bank account to see if it's okay. Never having to worry about your boss telling you, sorry, I need you here. Maybe a medical issue. Man, how am I going to take care of this? We can't afford to even go to the hospital, and this is life or death. I can't even afford my meds. What if none of that mattered? Because you could take care of it all. What if somebody called you and said, hey, what's your dream trip? Greece. You want to go to Greece tomorrow? I can't pay for you, but I'm going. You want to come? And you just said, tomorrow? Yeah, why not? That literally happened to me. I had a buddy call me and say, hey, you want to go to China? We're going to build business there. I said, sure. When? He said, tomorrow. Tomorrow? Do you know what that's going to cost? Spur of the moment. He said, shut up and get on the plane. Okay, I'll see you there. And we met up in Hong Kong, had one of the best weeks of my life, about 10 days. We went to Hong Kong, Shanghai, and it was crazy. But it's the freedom of being able to do that. I want you to think, what would that be worth to you? Why do people quit? You're quitting on your dreams. This is entrepreneurship. Nobody goes and makes $1 million in their first day in entrepreneurship. People are going to get kicked around in entrepreneurship. You've got to do some learning lessons. Here's what's great about it. What would you be doing if you weren't doing this? Most of you, most likely, still have a day job. That's great. Don't quit your day job. That became a point of fuel for me. I started looking forward to go to my day job in order to make me mad. I don't know if that makes sense. I work really well when I'm upset. Tell me I can't. Please tell me I can't. And that's going to be that extra fuel. So I started also looking for people to tell me that's not going to work. I don't think you can. I love it. I appreciate you saying that. You're going to make me work a little bit harder, a little bit longer, make a few more phone calls tonight in order to accomplish my dreams, because what I haven't told you is where I'm going, how big my dreams are. If I don't live out my dreams, my parents don't have retirement. I can't quit on that. What is your why, and are you sharing it? Do you know how to share it? Your story needs to include those pain points. That's where connection comes. How many of you guys can look back on a public speaker of some sort and say, man, that person really impacted me? Do you have anybody that you just ever heard somebody speak and you're like, holy cow, that was, you just remember something about that person and it just stuck with you? Why did it stick with you? Because they didn't just share the high points. Everybody, that's what social media is like right now. It's all the high points of somebody's life. People hate social media a lot of times because they show you all the great things and they never show you the bad. And it annoys people because we all know we have low points and they don't share those low points. When you begin to differentiate and say, you know what, it's not about just those high points, it's about sharing the real story. People connect with what's relatable. What's relatable is real life. Real life includes pain. If we share that pain, all of a sudden people are going, man, I don't know why, but that last person came with this script and said, hey, I just partnered up with a company, wondered if you want to partner up with too. I can introduce you to some great folks tonight at 7. We got a little meeting. No, I'm not interested. Okay, and they go on. It's the basic pitch that everybody's using, and it's not going to be any more effective than it has been over the last 80 years since network marketing started. There's got to be something in there where people have a chance to connect with you to make it different. And I'm telling you, every one of you has a story. How many of you have ever worked a 100-hour week? How many of you have ever had to have somebody babysit your kids, even though you didn't want to have a babysitter? You wanted to be able to raise your kids yourself. And you had trouble paying a medical bill or had a funeral expense that you couldn't cover for a family member. How many of you tried to take time off and didn't have the money to go, had to let your kids down, or couldn't come up with the money at Christmas? Which one hurt the most? And are you willing and ready to maybe share that? Not here, but when you're telling that somebody why you're doing this business, what's going to be different than my other friend that tried that thing? They're wondering if you're doing this 90 days later. Let me tell you one more trick. This really is not really a trick. It's just something that wound up working really well for me. I told you I gave everybody permission to say no, right? That was a big, big deal. And if you're taking notes, write that down. Give them permission to say no. after the video. I'm not talking about customer, I'm talking about as a partner. So we watch the video, they say no. What's your response? So many people I hear go, oh man, really? Are you sure? Maybe I missed something. This is really amazing. I'm really hoping you'll go ahead. It's only $130 to $29. It's not going to cost you very much. I really want to partner with you. I think we could do great things together. And you start begging. How many of you loved when you were back in the dating world and somebody just begged and begged and begged, and maybe even showed up at your door knocking when they weren't invited to try to get you to go on a date with them? And you're like, dude, I'm about to call the police. You need to go. This is getting weird. That's what you don't want to come across as. Don't be begging. You've got something amazing that they should be begging you for. And when you have that poison posture, you come across very confident and very different. And so I'd give them permission to say no. It gives them the, wow, all right, Ruth has some confidence here. This is crazy. I'm enjoying this. Something different. Well, so now they say no. Cool. Well, I do need a small favor from you. And this is a key. Would you follow my journey? I want to say thank you first and foremost for taking the 10 minutes to watch this thing and give me your honest feedback. I can't tell you what it means that you did that for me, but I do need this favor. I want you to follow my journey. Follow me on Facebook, call me a little more often, text me from time to time, ask me how this thing is working out. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm tired of living the way I'm living, and I'm going to change it right this minute. This is the company I've chosen. I'm not working 80 to 100 hours a week. I'm not punching a clock. I'm not dying saying I never got to travel. I'm getting my mom and dad's retirement back. And I'll be damned if I sit here and let this opportunity pass me by when it's this big and this important. And I'm still going to have a spot for you if you change your mind when you're ready. It won't be too late. You'll lose a little bit of time, but we'll make up for it. You guys, on my first list, I had 162 names. In my very first day, 19 said yes. This is not in this company. This is a prior company, which was crazy to me. That was almost as many personal signups as I had in 3 years in the other company. 19 said yes because I told the story a little different. I shared my personal experience. But what was crazy, over the next 9 years, to this day, I still have somebody from that 162 people call me at least once a month. 9 years later, hey, Brad, I've been following your journey. Some things have happened. I'm a little more open. Can we talk again? As a matter of fact, we can. Why did they call me, though? Because I gave them permission to say no. I thanked them for their time. I didn't beg them. I kept the posture. A very big step was I asked them to follow my journey, but there's something underlying that happened even bigger. I manifested every time I told somebody that. I was speaking it out into existence without even realizing it at that time. I hadn't done a lot of personal development 15 years ago. I didn't know. But by telling them I'm going to fire my boss, I'm going to travel the world, I'm going to get my parents' retirement back, I'm not working 80 to 100 hours. I was telling every single person I knew, became my own accountability partner. When you share that with everybody you know, your pain, your suffering, where you're going, your goals, you cannot sit on your hands and watch TV every night and look those people in the face. It was go time. I spoke it. I shared it with them. I went to my own boss and said, I'm firing you in 6 months. I got to triple my income now. I got to go to work. How many of you know you could do more during the day? We're all busy, right? We all got too much. There's this and this and this. But if we really started time blocking and we really started looking at what we could squeeze into the day, we could make a few more phone calls. We could do a little bit more. We could practice. We could get a few more no's. We could be the one that says, I'm going to collect more no's today than anybody else. And if I could do it today, then why not tomorrow? If I could do it tomorrow, then why not the next day? And what happens is, if I did that for 30 days, just a 30-day, I went after the word no at least 10 times. Now, hear me out on this. You can't go get the same no over and over and over. if you're pitching the same exact thing and everybody's telling you no 10 straight times, we need to tweak what we're doing. But if we're continuously tweaking what we're doing, and by the way, you guys are always one to reach out to me, call me. There's a lot of other amazing leaders on here. Pitch them, ask them how it sounds. I sat in my mirror and pitched myself every day until I thought I had it. And I'll be honest, it was like I'm stuttering and fumbling through this script that I thought was right. And I'd go, Brad, would you do business with you after this script? Nope, you sucked. Sorry, but I did. Do it again. And I'd try it again and try it again until, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm going to wrap this up here in just a second, but I'm going to give you guys something. This is funny. How long is the average song that you listen to? Can we call it 4 minutes, maybe? If let's say you know the lyrics to your favorite song, it's probably a 4-minute song. How many lyrics are in that song? And you'll take the time to memorize that whole thing. You'll listen to it over and over and over and over and over again until you got it. Some of you are gifted to hear a song twice, you know all the words. Some of you had to listen to it for months. I'm not very gifted at that. I don't memorize those songs very much. And if you've ever been featured in a play or think about these actors that memorize roles for movies. What if somebody said, here's your script, but I need you to come in and I need you to repeat this script. I'm actually going to hire you for a day job. I'm going to pay you $500,000 a year. And all I need you to do is take this script home, study it for 2 days, come back to me on Thursday and read this script to me but do it by memory and make it sound like you. And the script was literally less than 30 seconds. You memorize your favorite song. How many of you guys would actually take a 30-second script, take it home, memorize it? If somebody told you you could work from home, making $500,000 a year, and all you had to do is act like it was your script, you would do that, right? Easy. I don't think anybody here is probably saying no. Type a 2 in the chat if you're paying attention and would actually do that for $500,000. Miles like, that's too much. That's not enough money. I wouldn't do it, but $500,000 a year. There's a bunch of 2s coming in. So think about this. If we handed you a 30-second script, why would you do it for a corporate job that's going to pay you $500,000 work from home or not, when you could make $500,000 a month and not have a boss? Isn't that crazy to stop and think about? They handed me a little script, and it wasn't magic. It was just something I needed to be confident in. I went home and I read it in my mirror over and over and over again until I could put the script down and do it again without reading it. And then I literally asked myself, would I do business with me? Nope, 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 over and over again until finally I was like, hold on. You got me on something there. That was interesting. What was that? And I did it again and again and again until I'm like, holy cow. Excuse my language, but I'm thinking, you're kind of a badass. You sound like this is yours. You sound like you own this company. You sound like you're going places. You sound like a dude that I want to actually lock arms with. And if you're honest with yourself, and this was literally less than 24 to 48 hours that this switch in my head happened. And I had this script right. It didn't even matter what the script is now. I could pitch this thing 100 different ways because the confidence wasn't ever in the script. The confidence was in me knowing what I was supposed to say. Once you know what to say, then you can make it yours. Then you can tie in your story. Then you can actually start to look at people in the eyes and not have to be nervous. Then the stutters go away. The not knowing starts to go away. The people are looking at you different because they're like, man, I don't know what's going on, Stan, but this isn't the Stan that I know. What do you know that I don't know? What do you know that I need to know? Well, let me tell you who I've met. I get myself out of the way at that point. Get whatever script that you think works. Whatever, there's scripts all over in the link tree. Grab one. I'm not telling you to read that script out loud to your customer. I'm telling you to sit and read it to yourself. Read it out loud as if you were standing in front of a customer. Read it in the mirror over and over. Grab your spouse, significant other, grab your kids, whoever it is, and say, hey, I need to practice a pitch. Can I pitch you real quick? And I need you to be honest and tell me yes or no that you would watch this video and take my invite seriously. And if they're not being honest with you and you feel like they're sugarcoating it, then go find somebody that's going to be real with you. Give them permission to say, no, you suck. That was not good. You sound like you were reading. You sound like a robot. There was no voice inflection. Are you with me? This is be real. And all of a sudden, when you start to do this, guys, matter of fact, I could probably even grab a script from Linktree and put a recording out there of me doing a script and let you guys go try to emulate that until you can make it yours. Because what happened for me is this guy hands me a rebuttal and says, hey, look, here's a rebuttal. The only two real objections you're ever going to get are, is this going to cost me any money, or is this a pyramid scheme? Network marketing or pyramid scheme, put them in the same category, but those are the only two objections. What if I gave you one rebuttal that'll overcome all these objections? Well, that'd be brilliant, right? And he told this rebuttal in front of about 800 people. And I know for a fact that only two of us actually went home and memorized that rebuttal. And it wasn't even a magic rebuttal. It was that I heard that guy do it. I heard him do it. We were sitting in an Uber years later. We're both 7-figure earners. And this guy pitched the Uber driver. The Uber driver says it's a pyramid scheme. And the guy, man, he rattled off that exact verbatim thing that we were told to say. And nobody else was making 7 figures that was in that room at that time. I know that he memorized it. What it did was it gave us the confidence to say, okay, wait a minute. If I already know what they're going to say, the only objections that we're really going to get if we're doing this thing right. Now, I'm not talking about customer again. I'm talking about partnering. Is this a network marketing or pyramid scheme, or is this going to cost me any money? And the answer was the same. What do you mean, pyramid scheme? I'm talking about an online opportunity to be able to partner up with an electric company that's brand new in the industry. They're backed by a $100 billion company. They've got some very innovative technology, and I'm asking you to watch a 10-minute video to explain the details and meet some of the people I'm working with. This could be the opportunity of a lifetime. Can I tell them you'll be on tonight at 7? Well, is this going to cost me any money? Who said anything about money? What I'm talking about is a very innovative electric company that's doing some really incredible and innovative things. I'm saying the exact same thing to both rebuttals. Both. And I started realizing that everybody is only going to have this one objection. If I already know what they're going to say, then I become invincible. You can't tell me something that I can't overcome. So now I'm walking around with a little more confidence, almost to borderline arrogance, probably. I was on fire. I was mad. I was firing my boss, and nobody was getting in my way. And I was seriously looking for people to tell me no. And it didn't matter if it was 100 no's a day. I'm going after them. And the problem was I got so good that people stopped telling me no. But it was literally a game. It was a blast. But it all really still stemmed down to that pain point of I've got to get mom and dad's retirement back, and I'm not going to bed until I do everything that I can today to make that happen. And then I'm going to do that again tomorrow. I'm going to do it again the next day until I start to see those dividends paying off. And I'm going to tell you guys, when you start realizing how this comp plan is built, and you're looking at your paycheck that might be $20 or $100 right now, going, man, this is really not a lot of extra money. Remember, the key word there was extra money. Your bills are most likely already paid from your day job or from some other outside income in your household. This is extra money. Who loves extra money? When your part-time income and extra money starts to exceed your full-time income, that's when this thing starts to get exciting. And it will, and it can, if you hold on to that why and you really get tied into away from, you're not an electric advisor. You're building dreams. You're getting people out of the box. You're the one that's breaking chains, not just for yourself. You're doing it for everybody that will listen. How many of you really think that you were put on this earth to punch a clock and be told when to go to work, when to go to school, and when to do it all over again the next day? That's crap. I had a guy tell me, Brad, you're in jail and you just don't know it. You got a boss instead of a warden. You got a window instead of bars. You got a cubicle instead of a cell. But at the end of the day, you're told every day what to do, when to do it, and when to show up and do it again tomorrow. Why not get out of that mode and have a chance to live life on your terms? And you won't quit on that. When you start to realize that this system is broken and we have a way to introduce people to something better, it's your obligation now to go introduce it to them. take it as a personal like vendetta to free people from these jobs that they hate, that are keeping them broke, that are keeping them tied to a desk, tied to their county because they can't have the money to travel. They never get a vacation. The life that I lived, it wasn't a nightmare. I convinced myself I liked it, but I literally was gone 300 days out of the year, living in a camper in the middle of a desert, putting up these windmill turbines, coming home covered in dirt. I had nosebleeds almost every other day because I was breathing in just stuff that should have been breathed in while I was out there doing what I was doing. And I made good money, but I just had no life, no freedom, no nothing. And this is our chance right now. This is only going to be new once. Now we're going to have some new things come along within this journey in Think Energy, but with community solar, with new markets being deregulated, with community solar getting into markets that have never deregulated, guys, this is massive. And the question is, what are you going to do today to maximize your opportunities for when community solar launches in your market or in the next market? If you've got 100 feet on the ground when we launch California for community solar, you're going to be very, very happy you got 100. What if you had 1,000? And it's not just you going into California to go get community solar accounts, it's you and your team of 1,000. That's when it gets crazy. So I want you guys to realize you're in the right vehicle. You've got the most amazing company I've ever seen in this industry. And I'm not just saying that. What Mike has done for us in this and the way they put this structure together is literally incredible, from a comp plan, from a residual stance. It's asinine. I've never seen anything like this. That's why there's thousands and thousands of $1 million earners that have all come over from other companies to join Think Energy without getting a paycheck to come over. A lot of these companies will pay big guys to come over, and that's not happening here. They're coming because they see what's going to happen. The writing is on the wall, and now it's just up to us to find out how much of that pie do you want to go get, and how many lives do you want to change along the way. And that's where it starts to get fun, when you start putting others above yourself. I will tell you one last little secret: go get a little bit greedy before you start helping everybody else. And that sounds weird. You can't make other people's dreams come true until you start making your own come true. Get that ball rolling, which means you have to put your head down, not worry about the noise outside. And then once you get it rolling is when you start grabbing people to come along with you. And if you'll do that, you'll look up in a year or 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'll go, man, I cannot believe what happened when I changed my life by signing up with Think Energy. So you guys, I appreciate it. We can open up to a little bit of light Q&A if you need to go. I know I went a little bit over an hour, so if you need to jump off, you're welcome to. If y'all want to throw any questions out, you can. And if we don't have any questions, we can unmute your lines and everybody can just say goodnight. But I'll hang out for a minute and let you guys throw out any questions. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm sitting here drinking my coffee out, freezing.
Mr. Brad Parkhill, thank you so much. And hold on, I'm going to allow everybody to unmute themselves.
Thank you, sir.
Second. There we go. All right. Thank you so much, Brad. Everybody have a good night. Love you guys.
Great job,
awesome.
Mr. Parkhill. Thank you so much, sir. That was fire.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parkhill, spitting fire as I knew you would.
Mr. Parkhill, your phone's muted. Or your computer.
Oh, as I was saying, sorry. Good to see you, Miss Erica. I can't wait to meet those of you that don't know. Good to see your name on here, Mr. Keith Ward, Miss Sophie. I know a lot of you guys. There's a lot of you guys I don't. Good to see you, Mr. Donald. Always a pleasure, sir. Oh, and Sharon. I didn't realize y'all had 2 accounts going. All right. Well, thanks again for jumping on. I'll go ahead and shut her down if we don't have any questions. Good night, guys, and thanks for listening.
Thank you. Good night.
You bet.